This was the biggest flood I had ever seen. The man could hardly believe his eyes. As if the world were ending, tens of thousands of birds flew overhead in panic. Before Steve could even process what was happening, the ground suddenly began to shake violently. The surrounding mountainside started collapsing at an alarming speed. Massive waves rose hundreds of feet into the air. Steve immediately sensed that something terrible was about to happen. Without hesitation, he grabbed his daughter and ran for their lives. Outside, the streets had already descended into chaos. Everyone was trying to escape in their cars. But to everyone's horror, traffic quickly came to a standstill. Meanwhile, the floodwaters were getting closer and closer. With no time to lose, Steve made a bold decision. He abandoned the car and prepared to climb the mountain on foot with his daughter. Seeing this, others also left their vehicles behind. They followed Steve and fled uphill. But in the face of nature's fury, no matter how fast they ran, they couldn't outrun the flood. Just then, a young boy forgot to set the parking brake when he got out of his car. The vehicle began rolling backward down the slope. An unfortunate woman happened to get trapped in its path. At that moment, everyone turned around, and what they saw left them frozen in shock. Faced with the crisis, Steve couldn't just stand by and do nothing. He entrusted his daughter to a nearby stranger. Then he rushed over and moved the car, saving the woman. But the woman's leg had been injured, making it difficult for her to move, and the floodwaters were closing in fast. Steve knew they no longer had time to escape, so he decided to take one last gamble. Trembling, he climbed into the vehicle. After telling the woman to fasten her seatbelt, the two held each other's hands tightly and waited for death to come. 2 hours later, Steve couldn't believe he was still alive, but the woman beside him had already passed away. There was no time to mourn. Survival was all that mattered now. After unbuckling his seatbelt, he climbed out through the trunk. But when he looked around, his heart sank. Everything around him was eerily silent. There wasn't a single sign of life. Still, he refused to believe his daughter was gone. Certain that she had survived, he began searching along the mountain trail. Fortunately, the higher ground had escaped the flood. Before long, he found traces of his daughter. But just then, Steve suddenly remembered that his wife and son were still at the hotel. He immediately borrowed a phone and called his wife, but the call couldn't go through because she was out of range. Unable to stop worrying, Steve decided to search for his wife and son on his own. He set out toward the hotel in a small boat, but what he didn't know was that only minutes earlier, the flood had already reached the hotel.